The biggest lie of this generation is that the truth is up for debate. Something either is or isn't. Something is true or something is not. Two things can be true at once, both could be false at once, but one thing, a single thing, can be neither true and untrue at the same time. To many people, this seems like a rather obvious statement. So much so that it's almost silly for me to make this kind of observation. And yet, I have to. Hi folks, I'm Paul, and this is my take. Senior year of high school was the first time I ever heard about the concept of your truth or my truth. And while that was over a decade ago, before I really became politically aware, I knew from the moment I heard the phrase, your truth, that I didn't like it. And while it's taken me years to articulate why, it's essentially because at the heart of this concept, an attempt is being made to do the impossible, to turn the objective into the subjective. Truth is something that either is or isn't. It's not something that's real for a friend of mine, but not real for me. There is the truth, and then there is my opinion or my perspective. And those are the subjectives that can either align or misalign with the objective, which is the truth. But the truth itself is not something that I, or anyone for that matter, has the ability or authority to change or make different. The truth is something that you have to align your perspectives and your opinions with, and not the other way around. And again, it's almost silly for me to be saying these kinds of things because for the vast majority of human history, the vast majority of humans have seen this as obvious and not really necessary to comment on. But I bring this up because it appears to me that a substantial amount of public policy being implemented in the Western world is based on this mental operating system. And I think that's why we're seeing such a degradation in things like our culture, our society at large, happiness, morality. It's all based on your truth, my truth. It's not based on the truth. And before I go much further, I want to state that I actually understand the appeal of this worldview. It's selling the idea that basically whatever you want to be true, whatever you wish to be true, is. If it's true for you, then it's real. It's already true. And that is an extremely tempting worldview to adopt. It's a very powerful worldview to adopt. There are a lot of things that I wish were true. A lot of things that would be really nice if they were true. I wish that it were true that I could levitate. That would be awesome. But objectively, I can't. It is untrue that I have the ability to levitate. But if I were to live my life by this mental operating system, if I were to believe in my truth that I have the ability to levitate, and I were to jump off the roof of my house, I would hurt myself, obviously, because I attempted to challenge the objective reality of gravity's force on my body with my subjective reality that I could levitate. And the objective reality won out. Because obviously it did. Because it's true. I can't change the reality of this situation, even if I really, really, really wanted to, or even believed that I could. Now, that example is clearly silly. Very few people believe that they can defy the laws of gravity. But a lot of people believe they can defy the laws of nature. I really want it to be true that a man can become a woman. I really want it to be true that everyone is a blank slate and everybody is equally capable of doing everything else that everybody else is capable of doing. I really wish it were true that there were fundamentally no differences between the sexes, and we can go ahead and rearrange society to be a complete inversion of how it has been for the last, I don't know, forever. These are the kinds of hopes and ideas that are ingrained in a lot of modern and even classical liberal thinking. But when put up against the objective reality, the objective truth, they disintegrate. And because our cultures and governments in the Western world are largely controlled by liberal thinkers, it's partly why we're seeing such a push to subjectivize the truth. Because it would be really nice if what they believed to be true was true, but because it's not, it's dangerous and people are getting hurt. Just this past week, I saw a dust-up on X about a deeply confused and conflicted individual who tragically took their own life by jumping off of a bridge. Now, I don't know a tremendous amount about this individual, but he went by the name Charlotte on social media and identified as a transgender girl. There are things on social media that suggest that this person was groomed and or abused in early adolescence. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it would not be surprising and also a contributing factor as to what would drive someone to take their own life. The reason I know about this story is because a lot of people in right-wing circles were making jokes about the incident and correctly calling out that kind of behavior. I didn't join in the dunking because I think it's always tragic when somebody takes their own life, regardless of who they were. And it's almost always wrong to dance on the graves of the dead. But it did cause me to think long and hard about this event, especially in relation to what this video is about. The fundamental denial of reality, of objective truth. Now, I can genuinely empathize with someone who feels like they are not in the right body. There are things about my own body that I wish were different, but the reality is I can't change those things, and neither could Charlotte. But the difference between me and Charlotte is that I was able to accept that reality, and he wasn't. I could have made the decision to deny my reality and live in some delusion, but that would have required me to be constantly fighting against the truth, fighting to maintain a facade of what I wished to be true, but was not. In fact, for a little while, for a few months, I actually attempted to do that. I pretended to believe what I wanted to be true. I tried so hard to believe my truth about my situation, and it crushed me every single time I was reminded that my reality was false. I didn't base my entire identity on this false reality about my body. It wasn't even surrounding something as intrinsic to a person as their sexual identity, but it was definitely still something I wanted to be different. I still want it to be different, but I am able to live with the reality because I have to live with the reality. The objective reality isn't what I want it to be, and that's really hard, but it's a lot less hard than lying to myself and everyone around me. If I had to spend my whole life dedicated to upholding a false reality, if I built my whole life on this unstable, untrue, objectively untrue belief, I can understand why it would drive someone to jump off of a bridge. And the frequent retort I hear from people who are entrenched on the left is that these individuals are driven to do these kinds of things because they face so much hate. Speaking for myself, I don't hate anyone. I just won't deny the truth. Because lying to people about the truth hurts them way more than learning to live with the challenges of reality. It is never hateful to tell the truth. And it's dangerous to equate telling someone the truth to hate or not accepting their humanity. A staggering 40% of people who are struggling with their gender identity attempt to take their lives. And people often cite a lack of social acceptance and support as being the cause. It should be noted where this particular incident happened. Portland, Oregon. That's like the gayest city in America. It's hard for me to think of anywhere else in the world where an individual might find that much acceptance and support to go along with your truth than Portland, Oregon. Even if you live in an entire city that flies the Pride Progress flag on every street corner, it's still not enough to overcome the reality. And it's deeply tragic that so many people would rather die than learn to live in alignment with the truth. And it's deeply dangerous that there are so many people that encourage others to pursue a lie that will only hurt them. We see this same sort of thing playing out in places like the UK. It would be really great if multicultural societies were functional. It would be really great if we could all get along and have mutual respect for one another. But that's not the reality. But rather than admit to this truth, rather than aligning the country with the reality and restoring it to the way it used to be, the government has opted to restructure the entire nation in an attempt to conform to this fictional, hoped-for reality. Now, if you want to buy a steak from the market, it looks like this. You have to buy a box that is GPS tracked. Rather than admit to the fundamental differences in cultures that are not sustainable with Western values, the government will actually jail you for pointing that fact out. Look at what happened to Tommy Robinson. It would be really great if we could all hold hands across the globe. It would be really great if I could buy the world a Coke and keep it company. But we objectively can't. It's been evidently proven that we can't have disparate cultures coexist within the same polity and not have one assert itself over the other. And it's clearly harmful to deny that. It's becoming evident to me that people of the West are nearing a breaking point. We are willing to tolerate a difference of opinions, but we cannot tolerate a difference of reality because there is no such thing as a difference of reality. Something is either true or it is not. And we can either structure our societies based on that which is true or based on that which we wish were true. A lot of people are starting to say, I don't care anymore. I can't pretend anymore. Is it transphobic? Is it racist? Is it mean? Maybe it is, but is it incorrect? Is it based in reality? Is it true? And if the answer to that is yes, the problem here is not with the truth. There has been a change in the cultural winds, a change in attitudes just in the last 2 months. We're only at the very beginning of it, but it's going to be really interesting to watch. The best thing that you can do for yourself is find out what the truth is, what the objective truth is, and align yourself with it as best as you can. I don't know where exactly this cultural realignment is going to take us, or just how much closer to the truth we'll be when it's all said and done, but I have hopes that we'll be better off for it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. But what do you think? Am I wrong? Is truth something that's malleable in the same way that opinions and perspectives are? I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. As always, if you enjoy my content and want to see more, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I will see y'all next time.